stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. I sincerely appreciate you starting your weekend off right. Started off right. We got recruiting news popping. WPP's already getting into my head. I'm thinking about Miami. We got a lot of things to discuss. Thanks for joining me early on a Friday morning. It means the world to me to have you guys here year round. Really do appreciate it. Keep the excitement going all through the summer. And before you know it, we'll be to the 4th of July. A few more weeks, you're in camp and we're off to the races. I'm telling you, it feels like the dog days of summer and all that stuff. It's going to be shorter, man. We ran that season, the longest one Notre Dame's ever had. Then you had all the blue and gold distraction and the distraction there and the quarterback thing. I'm telling you, it isn't going to be the normal drag in the summer, man. Everything's going to be a little short, and that's going to help us out. So thanks for being here. We got a couple good callers on the line early. I'm going to get to them so they could get on and go on with their day. I'll do a couple of the chats, and then we'll go to the calls, and I'll get into what I want to talk about. I got to be better about on these morning shows, understanding people got stuff to do, people to see, places to be. Let them have their piece, and then they can move on with their day, and then I could go on yakking all day. Dr. John, we'll have my second cup of coffee with you, then off to golf. Man, what a good morning. What a good morning, man. A couple of cups of coffee. Look at me yell for a few minutes and hit the golf course. You're living the dream, Dr. John. As always, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Jay Carr. Some reporter asked Freeman, can Notre Dame win a title in the NIL era? Who would ask that, and when did they ask that? If anybody asked that after, I do drink coffee. I don't overdo it. I just need one regular cup of coffee. I ain't getting no frappolata, frappolate, chocolate. I'm in line at Starbucks in my minivan with 5 rat kids hanging out the back. I need a stroke-a-loca latte with a skim, 2 squirts of animal adrenaline, and then I need it mixed with it really cracks me up. You're rocking out. You're 5'4", 5 kids in the back seat, 297 pounds. Oh, I need it in skim milk. I'm watching my figure. Stroke-a-loca latte with an extra squirt of this, and then 3 mix in, and I want 2 little pieces of cinnamon flavor in there. No! Just give me a regular cup of coffee. Pissing me off. I get a regular cup of coffee and I put 1 little dab of whatever. It doesn't even matter to me. 1 little thing of creamer or 1 little whatever. It bothers me, all these stupid orders. I could never work at Starbucks in a million years. Everybody that comes through there thinks they're entitled to the world, and you're their slave. I ain't here for it. Get a regular cup of coffee. Anyways, I want to know who asked that dumb NIL question. Jeez, how disconnected are you? What, did they miss all last season? This is great. 4 minutes in, I'm already pissed off about the coffee orders and now about this. Who would ask that question? Did they just get born last week? They didn't watch the season? They didn't see what Notre Dame did? Get a grip of your life. Fired. Credential revoked. Whoever asked that. Gone. 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 I don't have patience for this idiocy anymore. something going on with all the writing and reporting in college football, and I don't like it. I don't know what it is, but something's going on, and I don't like it. Everybody's acting squirrely. I don't know what the deal is. All right. Thanks for being here. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John out as well. Notifications on. That way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar, always Irish, always Irish. Emails, always irishnd@gmail.com. Audio only. Anywhere you want it, you can get it. You don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you for that. Just do the audio only. Save yourself the trouble. Nobody blames you for that. Kent Jackson, well, it's the big slow. The call-in, we're off to a rousing start on this Friday, folks. The call-in lines, 312-988-15. Dial it up. Tell Uncle Yanni Boy all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by SI. Read all about it. Patreon.com/always Irish. He the former captain. He the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. DX style. Break it down. If you remember that, we're friends. If you're that old that when I said that, a million memories from your early teenage years struck you. You're right in my wheelhouse. If you understand that joke I just said, hopefully somebody gets it. Hey, John, did you like my song for you? Did you email it to me? Because if not, I didn't see it. And I didn't been on my email in a minute. I got to get back on there and do a bunch of stuff. I hope you emailed it to me, and I just haven't seen it yet. Otherwise, I don't know. I'll check it out. Let me know if you emailed it to me. I'll certainly check it out. I know how creative you are. Man, this man crazy already yelling about seeing his face. Ken, I just know that it's rough out there in these streets, and I don't want to make anybody look at me that doesn't need to look at me. Anyways. Signetti says ND pays 20 to 40 million in NIL. Oh my God. And I say Signetti thinks he's better than he is and has an overinflated ego for what he's actually achieved. So there we go. We each have an opinion, I guess. What did I see? I saw something that Texas had, what is it? 30 to 40 million. It was put out that that's what Texas is paying their roster, 30 to 40 million. I saw an article about that. Well, whatever, man. And what is Signetti's point? Even if he's saying, Mark, I think my iPhone was full. Bro, I got problems. I got to go over this. Somebody help me out. I got an iPhone. It ain't the most modern iPhone. The podcasting app or whatever it is, that lets you do podcasts, it's literally taking up half the space in my phone, and I don't know how to stop that. And then it fills my phone up where every day I got to delete stuff to be able to accept texts. And I'm not, and if I don't do it and it fills up, I don't get the text and they get like blocked up or something. You got to resend me that, Mark. I had Sacco sent me a bunch of pictures from something and I didn't get them. And then I delete a bunch of crap on my phone to make room and then I get them. You got to resend me, bro. You got to resend me, man. I got a problem. How can half the data in my phone be used up by podcasts? I'm just listening to them. I'm not downloading them. Something's wrong. One of you nerds that knows how to do all this, tell me how to fix it. I need a burner phone like Walter White. I'm going to keep it in the top of the crapper in a bag. I need a Notre Dame phone and a personal phone. They're one and the same, bro. They're one and the same. It doesn't matter what the number is. What would be the point? John is about as high-tech as my grandma used to be. I'm sorry, man. It's not my specialty. Content's my specialty. What is the purpose of Signetti bringing up that Notre Dame, whether it's true or not? What is the point he's trying to prove? What is the point he's trying to prove by being like, oh, Notre Dame, 20 to 40 minutes? Yeah, and that's perfectly legal. What is your problem? Are you crying? Like, I guess I'm asking, what is the point of making that statement? Are you just sad that you're not getting that or what? It's not illegal. So what's your point? This guy bothers me. Signetti bothers me. His ego is way overinflated for what he thinks he is. And I'm looking for Indiana to get smashed in the face this year and shut that guy up. He bothers me. Oh, Signetti, let me smoke him if you got him. Oh, I'm ripping one. Signetti, get it? How hilarious. Sick of these people. Sick of these people. All of them. I'm sick of the Purdue people that want to bring a 90-foot drum through our tunnel, and then we're the bad guys for not letting them. I'm sick of Indiana thinking that they're good at football when they're not. I'm sick of all these people. Get them out of this state. Get it out of this state. I don't like any of these people. I'm telling you that right now. Kent, believe it or not, there's precedent for somebody named John Kennedy to become president. However, it didn't exactly end well. So, I've thought about it. I'm running on an independent ticket, baby. Both sides are dumb. Hire John Kennedy. The problem is that's a dangerous path. And I don't know where it's going to end. Is Signetti the new Narduzzi? There you go, man. Maybe there's a parallel. Maybe there's a parallel there with a guy that likes to talk a lot and complain about everything instead of just doubling down and being better at what he's doing every day. Come on, man. The LSU people. I don't get along with them. They don't get along with me, and it's just perfect. It's just perfect the way I like it. All right, a couple chats, and then we'll go right to the calls. You know what? Never mind. We'll just go right to the calls. I want to get you guys on with your day. I'll come back. 224 Andrew Gilmore. What's up? 415 coming up. Good morning, Andrew.
Hey, what's up, John? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, we're entering this the summer period here, and you're able to think a little bit more globally about things because there isn't the immediacy. And I'm just thinking about where this program's at, what early next year looks like, the recruiting. Got some news early this morning, it looks like. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think this is shaping up to be a pretty special recruiting class right now. I think that they played this pretty well, and I think it's particularly satisfying to me because I am never been a Chad Bowden fan. I always felt that he was like the biggest self-promoter in the Notre Dame program, and it always bothered me how, you know, basically every Notre Dame outlet would talk as if like there's just no way to move on without Chad Bowden. You have to give in to all of his demands, give him all the credit. And and I think what we realized was he was writing those articles for those guys. And so it just really felt so contrived. So I'm not surprised though. I mean, we talked a few months ago about how Notre Dame, I think, ended up in a better spot when Chad Bowden left and with the hires they're bringing in, because they're bringing in real talent evaluators. And if Kurt Signetti, I didn't hear the Kurt Signetti comments, but if what he said is true, it only backs up why you don't need a Chad Bowden, like a self-promoting GM. Because if you've got the money backing you, you want real talent evaluators. You don't need some self-promoting charismatic GM. No one's going to Notre Dame or USC because of Chad Bowden. They're going there because they're established programs with good coaches, and Chad Bowden spends more time getting interviewed on 3 and 247 than he does, probably calling recruits. So
and
so
it's a little
satisfying.
Andrew. You'll find this really interesting because you think about the media space and have asked some difficult, challenging questions of the media before. Isn't it a little weird to kind of look in hindsight and piece together what this relationship was with Chad and the media and how things appeared one way? Like, it's all piecing together now in a backward puzzle kind of to where he was giving everybody all the information, and therefore they're never going to criticize him because that's the source of the information, and you got to play nice with that. And then Andrew, judging on the tea leaves, I'm not sure that him and Marcus were always on the same page, it feels like. I've heard some things about that, and like it just kind of feels like maybe those guys started kind of parting ways before they parted ways. Do you get what I mean?
Well, I agree on both points. I mean, the first point was it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to see how contrived the media stories were about him. I mean, from what I remember, the first time around when he almost went to Michigan, it was, I don't know, I'm trying to remember the dates, but maybe 18 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Every single Notre Dame media outlet, including like respected guys like Pete Sampson, put out these like really fawning tweets about how Notre Dame can't lose Chad Bowden, and it was worded in such a way like they were all so similar that it had to be, there was collusion going on between Bowden's camp and those guys, and so you didn't have to be Sherlock Holmes. And then the second thing is that I just always hated the idea that Chad Bowden was some sort of secret sauce in the recruiting. Notre Dame recruits itself. You know what I mean? Like there's always been a ton of talent that have come through Notre Dame. We didn't need somebody like Chad Bowden. And then to your point on maybe a schism between Bowden and Freeman, is that I have friends that are somewhat close to the program, and I had heard that, I think in desperation, because Chad Bowden was in particular striking out on wide receivers, he was going off script on what Freeman said to recruits. So I think that there was some schism. And in fact, what I heard was when Bowden was negotiating with USC, I think he fully expected Notre Dame to counter and try to keep him. And I don't think that happened. So
yeah. And here's the other thing I want people to be open to. In my maturing age of doing this program, I'm trying to be a little more fair and as fair as I can be. Andrew, there's a realistic scenario where everybody wins in this dynamic. Chad could go to USC and be re-energized by the summer breeze or the salt water or whatever, and go on a good little run there at USC and be fulfilled and happy, and USC's happy with him, and the LA media is kissing his butt instead of our media. And Notre Dame could take advantage of retooling their recruiting operation to be more analytical or more NFL based or more business minded, whatever they're doing or framing it as. There's a scenario here where everybody wins, and then we just see how it goes on the field, and both operations benefit from this move. Like, I'm open to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see, because let's just be honest. If there's stability at USC, USC recruits itself better than practically any school in the country. You know, USC's been down because of Pete Carroll's scandal that really cost them tons of scholarships. Then Sark had his personal issues, and then they made a really bad hire with Clay Helton. But USC should always be a good team if they've got the right mindset in terms of their administration. There's so much talent in Southern California and USC always traditionally has always gotten the best talent in Southern California. So so it's like I just don't believe anything about Chad Bowden. He's a self-promoter, and it's not a surprise because his father was the same way. Like, that's why it's weird how that article is never written. His father, Jim Bowden, was like sort of a wonderkin GM. He came up through the Cincinnati Reds organization, who was very similar to Chad Bowden's rise, and then he like is still in the media landscape, so he understands how to play the media, but he was kind of a slime ball. And then if you ever want to look up what happened to Jim Bowden's MLB career, you'll see that he got fired by the Washington Nationals for doing some really, really shady stuff. So, I've never liked Chad Bowden, and I never liked his dad. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. So you're alleviated of that problem, and you have an easy place to root against him because he's at USC now. Let's see.
He's in the right spot. He's in the right spot.
Yeah. He's in the right spot, and everything. It's just a really interesting dynamic. Andrew, I was thinking about this last night. I feel like we were right in feeling like Notre Dame was a little behind because of all the changes and how long the season went and the whole recruiting operation being cleaned out and rebuilt. I do feel like we were correct in the feeling that they were a little behind. I feel like they've done a really good job of getting situated and getting caught up. Do you agree with that? That's kind of my feeling on this. It did feel like they were behind. I'm convinced that was real. And it feels like they've been busting ass and getting caught up. Do you feel that?
I think to a certain degree, yes. I would say that they're reaping the benefits of having the season that they had. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I think a lot of people owe Al Washington an apology. I think what he's doing with defensive line recruiting is really, really good. I'm a big proponent of like building your team the way like Bill Parcells used to build his teams in the NFL, and always started up front, both the offensive line and defensive line, and specifically pass rush. So I don't think, I mean, they've signed two defensive or they've got commits from two DNs that, you know, could be really, really awesome for us. So I think that's where it starts. And you like what Mike Minkins always does. I think the big question mark though still is, when are they going to start signing some wide receivers? Because that's really why I called in to talk about, you know, the championship or bust that you've been talking about. But I think that until Notre Dame can bring in some elite wide receiver talent, I don't think that we can have the mentality of championship or bust, because it's just been our Achilles heel for the last 5 years. So
yeah, does it feel to you like, man, I had this thought last night too. I'm thinking about all the different areas of this team and where they're at and what they proved last year, and then like what's left to check the box on. And that's like the biggest thing that jumps out to me is a passing game that worries people from the quarterback end and the athletic wide receiver end. That just jumps out to me as like the last big thing that needs to level up to really feel like you have a totally well-rounded operation. There's a lot of parts of the team that are plenty good enough for this now. But I do feel like a anticipation and a little bit of an anxiety of like, I feel like we're really close. You need to get there to get it over the hump. I feel you on that.
Yeah. I think Notre Dame has done a good job, at least this offseason, in triaging the wide receiver situation. I think Malachi Fields is probably the best wide receiver transfer they brought in, since the portal existed. And that includes like a guy like Ben Skoranek, who's pretty good for Notre Dame, and even Bo Collins last year. But I don't know if Malachi Fields is like, is a game-changing player. I guess we'll find out, because I don't think he's got elite speed. He's a big guy. So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk, but I wanted to quickly talk about your championship or bust video that you put out earlier this week.
Yeah, my thought is, I just think that's where the standard needs to be, and you got to build in the quarterback uncertainty and trust that it's going to be good enough, but I don't want to lower the standard. I that's where I'm at.
Well, hey, that's totally fair. I just like where I'm at is this. I think it's perfectly appropriate at Notre Dame, especially in the expanded playoff world, to always expect to be playoff or bust. If you look at the last, since 2012, Notre Dame probably would have made the playoff, more times than not in a 12 or 14 team playoff. So playoff or bust is always the expectation, no matter who the coach is. And I think that if you had Riley Leonard coming back this year, or in my opinion, if I could have made anything happen in the offseason, if say someone like Jalen Milroe would not have gone to the draft and maybe transferred to Notre Dame, I think then you could probably say championship or bust. But I think that if you look at the history of college football, which unless Notre Dame's going to buck that trend, winning with either a true freshman or a redshirt freshman quarterback, who I expect, is going to be CJ Carr, with an outside chance maybe Minchie wins the job, but let's pretend for a minute CJ Carr. There's good news and bad news. The good news is, in recent memory, two quarterbacks were either a true freshman or a redshirt freshman have won the championship. And that the bad news, though, is they were the number one recruit in the country. They were true 5 stars. They both won Heisman trophies, and they both went number one in the draft. That's Trevor Lawrence and Jameis Winston. And so, and both those guys were the first snap they took in college football were arguably the best quarterback in the country.
That's fair.
And they were both on loaded football teams. It wasn't like the Cam Newton situation where they were, the X factor, or they were the X factor, but where they carried the entire team. You look back at that Florida State team, that defense was 5 stars all over the place, and arguably the best secondary ever. I mean, even the 4th-string corner on that team got drafted. And then you look like we saw Clemson up close in 2018 when Trevor Lawrence was a true freshman. That team was loaded. So that's a huge expectations to put on a guy like CJ Carr, who was a big time recruit, but I think he was not the number 1 recruit in the country.
That's fair. That's fair. I think
gigantic expectations.
My pushback would be, I think a lot of areas of this team have proven they are at a level where they could get it over the hump. And I'm counting on those areas to continue and bring that quarterback along. And I'm just not in a position where I'm going to lower the bar this year. It feels like you're trending in the right direction. And if it doesn't happen and you realize there's some mistakes that the quarterback makes while they're learning and you lose a couple dumb games, I'm going to be frustrated. But that doesn't mean that I think it's unrealistic to have that kind of expectation for where this team is, what they've proven, and where I think most areas of the team are at. I don't know, man. The early part of next year is going to dictate what happens with us in the playoff. I think that front half of the schedule is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, I think that, and by the way, the people in the chat are misinterpreting. I'm not saying that that's the expectation for CJ Carr. What I'm saying is that if past is prologue, then in order to be a freshman or a redshirt freshman to win college football championship, you need to be a Trevor Lawrence or Jameis Winston. And I think that, and people can fact check me, but before that, it was Matt Leinart who did it. So those are all 3 historically great quarterbacks. And so just like it would mean a lot of sense, or make a lot of sense for if Notre Dame's really championship or bust for Carr to be that type of quarterback. But the last thing I would mention, though, is, and it's sort of funny how just things shift in Notre Dame land, but when Ash was named the defensive coordinator, I was one of the lone voices in your chat who supported that hire, because I went to Rutgers and I understood how bad the Rutgers football program was when he took it over and all the issues. And in fact, Urban Meyer even warned Chris Ash, don't take that job. And I've always thought highly of him as a position coach, but I do think it's sort of interesting how quickly your chat has gotten over that hire, in that Chris Ash, even if he is a really, really good defensive coordinator, I think he's replacing arguably the best defensive coordinator in recent memory for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's had some really good defensive coordinators, especially over the last 10 years. And I think Al Goldman was the absolute best. So Chris Ash has huge shoes to fill. So I just think that there's two huge unknowns. There's really 3 huge unknowns. It's the quarterback situation. It's, do we have the wide receiver talent to prop up a quarterback who's not a running quarterback? I get it that CJ Carr is mobile, but he's not a running quarterback. So can your wide receivers prop him up?
And then defense.
The third being Chris Ash. Can he step into Al Golden's shoes, who was undoubtedly a terrific top 5 coordinator in college football? I mean, that's a lot to ask for. I think that the big thing that Notre Dame has going for them is, because of that COVID year finally expiring, there's major turnover in college football right now. So a lot of big time programs are in similar positions as Notre Dame's. Because I wouldn't Notre Dame's chances going up against an Ohio State team last year, who had so much veteran talent coming back. But there's a lot of teams in Notre Dame's position, so maybe that's their road to winning it all is that everybody else is in the same position as them. So
yeah. I think it's interesting stuff. I get what you're saying on a lot of this. Like it's just going to be really interesting. This team's put together a little different, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I understand your question about, title or bust and kind of some of the question marks there. It's just, I think this program feels like they're close. I think Marcus feels like they're close, and it's these final touches, and it all just has to come together. And we'll see what happens, Andrew. Hey, thanks for the Friday morning chat.
Well, and hey, I'll just end on this, not to echo West Palm Pat too much, but Miami's done some kind of interesting things in the portal. So I think that it should be fun over the course of the summer to go over that team, because I think a lot of people in the chat are being way too cavalier about that game. Like, Notre Dame's always struggled, in Miami, and I think that their roster is actually shaping out to be a lot better than a lot of people in the chat give it credit for.
Well, the good news is,
I think that's going to be
the good news is we have 4 months to debate it, and we will, damn it. And totally. We will. Andrew, have a good weekend, buddy. Thanks for the call. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thanks for
take it easy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Omar is here. I've been raising a newborn. No, it's not John's. Are you sure? Have you been properly tested? Are you sure? Maybe we need to go on Maury. You ever see them Maury's where, callers, I'm coming back to you. You ever see those, the Maury's where there's like some girl and she's like, the baby it could be this guy's dad, or it could be this guy's dad, or this guy could be the dad. And then Maury tests like 22 guys and they're like, none of you are the father. And then they will have like 20 of them there, and they're like, none of you are the father. And then all those 20 guys, they're all dancing together in the Maury studio. They're going out for drinks. They're celebrating that none of them has to pay this girl. None of them are the father. What? There's like 20 guys up there. None of them are the father. Jeez. And you know what's funny about it too? This is the funniest part. Whenever they do one of those shows and the you're not the father and there's 20 of them, the girl's never good looking ever. If you notice, none of the girls are ever good looking. Whenever they do that, there's 20 of them and it ain't the dad, none of the girls are good looking. And you're saying, what's wrong with these guys? What are you doing? Who would even want to risk having a kid with this person? What's wrong with you? It's always hilarious, though. None of these 22 are the father. Oh, okay. Couple super chats back to the phones on a Friday, lively Friday. Yeah, everybody. Clapper commits to Notre Dame this morning. Kind of a low-key commitment, whatever. Is his nickname Cheeks? I just feel like the t-shirts calling my name. It's just Cheeks and his number. That's it. You don't have to use any more references. You don't have to be cute. You don't have to be funny. That is the t-shirt. His name's Clapper. Cheeks and then the number. That's all you need to do to promo that guy. That's it. So it isn't quite Stonebreaker, the ultimate linebacker name. It isn't quite Stonebreaker. Cheeks, that's the guy's nickname. So that I'm sticking to it. It's going to be perfect, and that's going to be it. Dr. John, coffee's gone, and so be me. Be happy in your work. I'm happy every day I'm doing this. Happy every day I'm doing this. There's nothing else I'd rather do than debate on the internet every day. Yeah, we'll get to Osborne in a minute. That's coming up. 415, what's going on? If you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. What's going on?
Good morning, my good sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I like the energy so far on this Friday morning show here as spring turns to summer. Recruiting is popping, and that's what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I have something on my mind. Your video that you put out on the on three ranking.
Yeah.
And where Notre Dame kind of placed on that. And I had a whole bunch of different thoughts. I was wondering if we could go over that.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So the interesting thing is I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts here or there that are talking about college football and where they place Notre Dame. And when this ranking came out, they talked about what the criteria was based upon for these teams being ranked in this way. And because a couple of them had a problem with us being in that top 5. And I even saw a couple of people that put us, kind of like more like the 8, 9, or 10 range. And I think, but the majority of them had us in that top 5, which was a good sign. And I think the kind of debate here was about, does this even matter? Like, what's the point of it even coming out? Does it have any weight to where we go?
It
right?
does. Summer clickbait. Summer clickbait is my answer.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so there's a couple different things. One, it gives us the content to talk about, in these dog days of summer, as you like to call them, and sitting around waiting for football to start. And it is a good topic to kind of discuss as to where we see ourselves. But the other point that I really think that kind of holds a lot more weight to that is the fact that it shows where each program is currently in the eyes of everybody, And so if the majority of the country thinks that we are in this top 5 tier, well, then that just goes to show what it is that we're bringing back. They didn't have these, kind of rankings for a lot of the teams that made it to the championship game and then never made it back. But for those like the Georgias, Bamas, and Clemsons back in the day, they did have them in that top 5, which means that they are ranking them based upon what it is or who it is that they're bringing back and what they're plugging in. And I heard a couple different things on the quarterback situation. And, well, how could they put us at number 2 if we had, either Carr or Minchie going in? But if you look at the top 10, 6 out of the top 10 are all bringing in new quarterbacks. Texas being, Texas number 1, they're bringing in Manning. And I understand it's Manning, but it's still a new quarterback. We're bringing in either Carr or Minchie. And then, what is it? Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, they're all new. And then after that, even like Florida's bringing, what's that kid's name? DJ Lagway, I think it is. But he's got injuries. So you could say it's like 6.5 to 7, where it's like you could be seeing totally different quarterbacks going into this season of the top 10 teams. And
that's a really good point. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do. But I think what I took away from it was, number 1, clearly it's clickbait. Clearly it doesn't matter. It's good to write an article and do a video about when you do what I do in the summer. You're happy to see stuff, eat low-hanging fruit to be able to do your content and have something like that. So let's be completely honest from the content side of where that kind of project is useful. So I'll be totally transparent that that's what it's good for. The other part is I looked at it as baking in the quarterback uncertainty. It tells me that a lot of people believe in what Notre Dame has going on overall, that even when baking in the uncertainty of the new starting quarterback, they still thought that much in Notre Dame. That's how I take it, as a compliment to all the other areas of this program people think are at that level. Even when you throw in the mix, the quarterback thing, that's how I took it. Pretty good compliment.
Yes. I completely agree, because the person that put this together on 3 was interviewed, and he did say that the criteria was based upon where he and his team saw the teams ending up at the end of the season, meaning that he believes that Notre Dame and Texas are going to meet in the championship game, or at least have the best chance of meeting in the championship game come this 25 season. And so he was referencing, how could you not look at Notre Dame? And he stated that something about our offensive line is the strongest reason for a repeat season of success, and that we have the best offensive line in football and a great running game. And then he loves watching our defensive play. So he's talking about, when you look at like all 3 phases of the game, Notre Dame is just bolstered up right now. And now we're going to add in this piece, it's albeit the most important piece, that being the quarterback. But it's one of those ones where you have so many strong attributes coming together all at once how could you not put us in that top 5, or even top 2, just because of it? And not to mention because all these other teams are all starting fresh. I mean, how many players got drafted from Ohio State? I think it's like 14 or 15 or 16 or something to that degree. That is so much of your talent that is just revolving out of that door. And now you got to bring in all new, coach them up. You have 2 new offensive coordinators. It's like, it's just going to be a different landscape, as far as I think a lot more parity in the league coming this year, where it's way more open. I thought last year was open. I think this year is going to be even that much more open, to the point where some people have Penn State being the number 1 team, mainly because of the fact that they're bringing in or that their starting quarterback is coming back, right? And so they're looking at it like, well, they already have the continuity and they brought in a wide receiver here or there. And it's just like, okay, like if that's what you're basing it upon. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that, these are just like estimations for the future. And does it matter to a certain extent? I guess so, because it shows us kind of where we are and, so to speak, as of right now. But the coaches and the players just need to grind it out, get in the weight room, film room, on the field, address the issues that we have, fine tune the ones that, are working well, just keep striving for that excellence to get to that next level. And I know we're months away, but I'm just getting super excited about like where it is that this particular team can go. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Marcus Freeman and the staff decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go with the young kid, whichever one it is, Carr, Minchie, we're going to go with them and we're going to plug them in and we're going to make this, offense exciting. And I think it's just something to really look forward to.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, one thing that I think is the overall project of a post-spring top 25 or whatever is kind of absurd on face value. However, if you zoom way out and you don't take it so practically and you look at the bigger project at hand, overall, I just like seeing national people look at Notre Dame with this kind of respect. That's kind of the big overall picture for me, is like, the quarterback thing and this and that, and do other teams belong, like where you want to move that top 10, fine. The overall thing that came to me was there's a lot of people that are coming around to respect Notre Dame at a different level than we've been at in a long time. And I think that's the main point, the main takeaway.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing that irks me a little bit is when I hear some of these national news media folks or whatever, and they're posting that they don't think that we're up there. Like when they put us at like a 9 or a 10, or they're like, well, and it's kind of like, you could see that they still have those old, like kind of BK days stuck in their head. Yeah. Where they're just like, well, they had this one magical run, but they're not going to be back. And it's like,
that's the other reason. That's the other reason this is such an important, critical year, is to show this is not a one and done and you reach the peak and now you're going to revert and you're 9-3 and you missed the playoff a couple years. Then you build back and you're in it again. This is that you got to show you're stacking this when it comes to playoff appearances, and let everybody know last year was not some one lucky run and you got the good matchups and got lucky or whatever. You need to prove this year that wasn't it, and everybody could get annoyed to get used to Notre Dame having an at-large bid every single year. And the more rolls at the dice and spins at the wheel you have in that playoff, the more comfortable your program is performing in it, and the more chances you have for everything to line up and you to make it the whole way. That's how I look at it.
For sure. I think, for the players and the coaches, they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for the fans. They're doing it to shut everybody up. And I think that's one of the things that, kind of drives us as a fan as well, is like, of course we want that chip just for ourselves, like finally in our, to have our own heyday, so to speak, and start our own kind of Frank Lay, type of era right now, and to keep moving forward with championships or, playoff aspirations every single year. And then the other side of it is just to kind of change the narrative in everybody's, head about what Notre Dame is. Like, do you really honestly feel like we are, kind of that, like I said before, like the TCU, like we're going to show up once and then that's it? Or do you feel like we're going to be that perennial team that's going to keep, showing up, independent or not, here we are,
Yeah.
you know, and we will continue to show up. We don't need to be in the SEC. We don't need to be in the Big Ten. We are our own conference, and we're going to come up and we're going to show up and we're going to be there, you know, year in and year out.
Yeah.
And I think obviously it all stems from the recruiting and, you know, kind of momentum that we get from there as well.
Yep. It's just now is the time of the year to be able to zoom way out and look at all this stuff like a little more abstract and a little more big picture. And that's my overall takeaway is I think there is still some hesitation to go all in on Notre Dame being an elite level program. But they also did earn a lot of respect that you have to give them. And there's really no way around it from the playoff run. And we got to figure out if they could keep it up. But I really need you to get in that playoff and have a strong performance again and cement that you're not a one and done and that we're here to have a little fun. Anything else, my friend?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for giving me a call on a Friday. We got the kids. What are we doing? A Friday fun day or what?
Oh, absolutely. We're out the door in about 6 minutes, head over to school and then drop them off. And I got the errands to run and different things to take care of before I got to pick them up. So that is the name of the game, my friend.
Awesome.
I'm sure you're well aware of.
Yep. I try and I've learned your schedule. So I try and get you in so you could be done and then get them out. So, hey, man, God bless you. Thanks for the call. As always, have a good weekend there in California. Get them kids to school.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot. We'll go right back to the phones. If you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. I got to do these supers, man. I'm slacking on the switches. Pilney, $10 holler. IU noises, slow media cycle, clickbait, ND punching down to entertain it, eyes on the prize. I don't even... Indiana so desperately wants to be relevant, and they got a little taste of it, and it was very amateurish how they handled it. It was funny. It was cute. WPP, $10 hour. Chad did not magically become a good recruiter. SC decided it wanted to pay big money, and recruits are signing with them. 2 months ago, Notre Dame started paying big money, so our recruiting is up. WPP, I want to know who you know that's dropping you information about Notre Dame's NIL. I'm not questioning the veracity of the information. I'd just like to know who your source is. $10 holler for DePilney. McCord recently shared in a Gruden interview that after his escape victory in South Bend, he told the ND crowd to have a nice flight home, taking a swing at Notre Dame's national fan base. Where's the shot? That is a national compliment. What am I missing? That is a compliment that Notre Dame is not a tiny little regional Midwestern school, but that it's national. I'm not understanding. What am I missing other than the part where we handed them the ball game and he tried to throw a game-losing interception and our guy dropped it? I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not an insult. That's a compliment. Have fun in Syracuse. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, slick burn, man. And then Ohio State said, you're not good enough to be here. See ya. Like, that's not even an insult. It's a compliment. That's offensive. Oh, man. The beef, $10 holler. When does J Love for Eisman hype train officially leave the station? Is Always Irish going to plant their flag and be the first to predict it? What's the slogan going to be? Yeah, I know. Somebody's got to get that cranked up. I'm working on a few different t-shirt ideas. $10 hot this summer. $10 holler. Miami's been the place where ND's title hopes go to die. Hopefully Freeman can change that trend and break the streak. On the plus side, Freeman and the staff did a perfect, wonderful, beautiful job preparing the team physically and emotionally to go into Texas A&M, a tough, loud, stadium full, rabid fan base, home game for them in the heat, whatever. Notre Dame prepared wonderfully for that. They were totally prepared for the moment. They were not overwhelmed. They were not scared of the noise. They were not scared to let it rip and play like Brian Kelly was in charge with no courage. None of that happened. Do that again. Do that again. $10 from the Pilney. ND scar tissue 89. Number 1, Notre Dame lose to Miami 27-10. 17. Number 3, Notre Dame crushed by Miami 41-8. Bad mojo there. Freeman needs to break it. Freeman he's definitely got to break it. Oh, here we go. Son of a buck. Put me on the spot. I got something for you. A quick always annoyed. This is something I'm learning again. And it was bad before, but now that I'm back, it's even worse. Real quick, then I'll go back. Rene Martinez, I'm going to get you in and out, and then we'll go to everybody. I know you're working. I'll get you in and out, and then we'll go. Here's a quick always annoyed. I'm trying to get back in the gym and work out a little bit, and it's been a long time since I genuinely put the effort into doing it. You know what's pissing me off? You're in the gym, you're working out on these machines or whatever. I'm getting annoyed with people. You know how you do a set of reps and then you wait a minute or two and then you do your other set? These people are pissing me off. They all sit there and they get on their stupid phone. And then I'm waiting to use the machine and they're on their phone. And that 1 minute little break between sets becomes 5 minutes of scrolling on Facebook. You're there to work out, not to look at your stupid ass phone. Get to work. It bothers me. I don't have all day to sit there for some girl to scroll Twitter, Facebook or whatever. If you're there to work. It really does piss me off. I understand a 1 or 2 minute break is maximum for to let your muscles recoup or whatever between sets. But these people are on their phone and they're scrolling and they're typing and they think they're on their couch and not in public. Pisses me off every time. I got places to be and people to see, not waiting for you. Hurry up. I don't like the public. No one knows how to act. Everybody's in their own stupid world and they don't even realize they're inconveniencing everybody else anymore. And even if they did, I don't think they would care very much. My main man, Martinez. What up, baby?
Johnny, how are you, buddy?
It's good. It's good to hear from you, man. How's work going? You been keeping busy?
I am, bro. We're throwing 70-pound blocks right now, buddy. So I don't need to go to the gym, but I do for my mental health because work is still work. You know, when I'm at work, I'm throwing 70 pounds and, like about 300 of them a day. And it's good, buddy. So I feel you on there. Hey, man, I do. I go to the gym because that's something I like for me. And I'm like, hey, bro, can I work? I just go up to him, hey, man, can I work in with you? Yeah, sure, whatever. But I feel you on that, Johnny. But real quick, a few things, Johnny. I've been listening to everybody. I just wanted you to know, I talked not too long ago, so I want to touch base a little bit on Marcus Freeman, what he's doing, an amazing job. And everybody can say money or whatnot, but eventually this was going to come because, them old NFL players, these parents, you see the 12-minute video that the Notre Dame media put out about Ben Morrison. And you've said it best too, Johnny. They want their children around somebody like Marcus Freeman, a mentor. Someone that's going to teach them about football, about life being over after football, and about family and about faith.
I still think that matters.
He's done an
I still think that matters.
Yeah.
It's an old school value to look at it that way about that. But I really do still think that matters. And I know that isn't as flashy to discuss as NIL numbers and money and all this stuff. But I still think it matters. And I still think the right set of players with the right support system of family and coaches around them are going to value that part of this. I still think it matters. I know that's an old school college football value. Maybe it's a little antiquated, but I still think it should matter.
Yes. And like you say, look at the people, like I've said, look at the people who he's surrounding around, from the GMs to even the coaches he has around him. Like, take, for example, McCullough, who just left, and the story about him, how the guy that recruited him looked just like him, eventually ended up being his dad. And so, but I think he's moving the chess pieces as he needs to as far as these young men.
Yeah.
And the only reason, like I say, go ahead, buddy.
How do you feel about the little recruiting boost here, man? It felt like we were a little behind, and now they're doing a good job catching up. You got the cheeks clapper this morning. You're looking good for the running back. Yeah. Tiki, I get freaky for Tiki. You look good for him. You get a couple of these wide receivers, and you're cooking.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I think a lot of that also got to do with the fact of how he, how he approaches it. Because, you go, like I've said before, who wants to go to South Bend?
you know, like Golden said, there's a reason what brings you to North or South Southern Indiana and says excellence, right? It's like who wants to go to South Bend over Miami? Miami's gorgeous, man. You know, who wants to go there over Eugene? Even Eugene's not on the coast, but Eugene is beautiful, man. Where Oregon is, you know, and we all know what happens in La La Land down in LA, but he's doing an amazing job. I'll tell you this also. My buddy Stanley Havili that plays fullback at USC, he's a friend of mine. He even told me he's with Utah now. I think working with the D line. He was the fullback for Mark Sanchez, won a few Rose Bowls. He says, hey man, what Marcus is doing out there is a really great job, man. He's doing amazing work. So I mean, people in that line of work and in that field, they know. You know, like I said, I've been blessed and privileged to play with some dudes that made it on to a big level. You know, so you know, and he's right there with the youth, man. He says, hey man, Marcus is doing an amazing job. So you know, obviously the recruiting shows. And man, I'm excited, Johnny. I'm excited. There ain't no days off. Ain't no dull days off right here in South Bend, bro, for the Golden Domers. You know.
Yep.
One last thing, Johnny. I'm going to say this. You take a look at this, and there's a lot of thinking. There's an interview out there where Marcus went to Pennsylvania, where they say it's Penn State country, and he got a few good questions asked. You know, harder ones, and you know, and I think it was local media. He says, no coach has been here since Lou Holtz. You know, and you take a look at Les Miles, Urban Meyer, Barry Alvarez. What do they all have in common? I think you know, buddy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Domers know. Those are all Lou Holtz assistants, man, and they all went on to win, succeed where they went to. Barry Alvarez, obviously, at Wisconsin, won a few Big Ten titles, and of course, Les Miles and Urban Meyer going to win national championships, man. And so, Johnny, I'm excited, man. I'm excited even for these dog days of summer. I'm excited for the in-season tailgate, man. God's been really good to me. Hey, buddy, thank you. I'm going to let the other callers get their piece in, man. Always appreciate you, man. Always appreciate the chat, man. Onward, Notre Dame, buddy.
Have a good one. Get out there and work, baby. That's a man who works for a living. He ain't in his basement just talking. That man's talking Notre Dame football while he's hammering stuff. Did you hear that? Ding, ding. The guy's building a house or something. And all I'm doing is down here talking. Can anybody see John with Richard Simmons hair? I'm just picturing in the 80s. I'm just picturing the 80s. And he's got the bandana going and he's got the curly hair and the tights. And what if I'm out there? Always Irish is out there. I'm with Richard Simmons. Didn't he just pass away? Am I dreaming? Is Richard Simmons alive or not? I thought I saw that guy passed away. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure he did, man. Somebody said I would be good at jazzercise. Yeah, I like that. Let's do some jazzercise. Oh, man. That would be a good Halloween costume, actually. Ooh, that's a good idea. You could get the afro. Ooh, that's a pretty good. I like that. That's a good one. I might have to think about that. Jay Carr, very funny. Hammering like Jacoby Clapper. I'm telling you, Cheeks, baby. Cheeks is the nickname. Sly Fox, he gone. Hawk Harrelson, he gone. Richard Simmons, he gone. 330 and then Mark with glasses. What's up, 330?
That Richard Simmons thing right before I get on.
I know that'll mess with your brain if you think about it long enough. It'll really mess with you, but it is very funny. It's entertaining.
Especially those short shorts and that tank top and that voice. He was one of a kind. I know that. He
was one of a kind, but a genuinely sweet guy who just was trying to help people, I think. I don't know, man.
He was. All right. I just have a couple things I want to talk about. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to, I just lost a friend recently named Barry, and very, very good friends with him throughout the years. He actually watched your show. He loved Notre Dame. Everyone loved him. He was loyal, funny. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He's always there for you. And, he was, our friendship, I would describe it. It's like you and Pat, sort of.
Yeah. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. I don't know if you get to Notre Dame or not, but would be happy to arrange to get a grotto candle lit in his honor. Happy to arrange that if you would like.
All right. I appreciate that. Yeah, he was a great pet goldfish. But as far as football goes, I was thinking about the Big Ten. Sorry.
What the hell happened? He was laughing about a joke I wasn't involved in, and then he dropped off. Wait a second. What did I miss? Is there a joke here that I missed? I don't understand. I didn't know whether the guy was laughing or crying. I think he was laughing, and then he dropped off. I'm not kidding. I don't think he was crying. I think he was laughing. I'm not trying to. I honestly thought he was laughing. I thought he was laughing. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to laugh at that. I thought he was laughing, not crying. If that's the case, I don't mean to be like mean. I honestly thought something came up and he was laughing, not crying. I'm sorry, man. I'll be happy to get. He said the guy's name is Barry. I'll be happy to get a candle lit for that. But yeah, I honestly thought he was laughing. I would never make fun of that. I thought he was laughing, and there was a joke I wasn't a part of. No, I don't mean that I don't mean him saying his friend passed away was a joke. I thought he had transitioned and was thinking of something else that happened, and he started laughing. That's what I thought happened. But God bless Barry. We'll get a candle lit. I could do that today. I honestly, I thought we transitioned somewhere else. Yeah, I think you're right, Phoenix. He sounded nervous, wanted to talk about his buddy, then he tried to move on and got caught off guard. That's fine, man. That's all good. But sincerely, I thought he was laughing. I thought he was laughing and hung up. So my bad, dude. Give me a call back whenever you want, or you're in a better place to do that and get through it. And then in the meantime, I'll get a candle lit this weekend. Yeah, it was hard to tell. I mean, you got to understand, I don't know all these people, so I don't know where you're coming from. But we'll get a candle lit for Barry. Feel free to give me a call back. But in no way did I mean to laugh at that if that was a cry. I thought it was a laugh. Hard to tell. Mark with glasses, what's up?
Oh, not a whole lot. Shout out to that guy and his friend Barry, R.I.P. I got problems going on over here myself. I got both kids' cars going in and out of the shop. It's a shit show over here.
Ooh.
But yeah, I've had a hell of a week. I tried the old wire hanger on my son's tailpipe, and that immediately fell off. And I got problems going on over here. Both cars at the same time. So when it rains, it pours. But yeah, with the recruiting, you know, with the Clapper guy today, maybe Osborne tomorrow. You know, top 4 class. And again, like going back to when USC was getting all these verbals and we were all freaking out.
Yep.
And now that we're cooking, like nobody practically says boo, you know? And
yeah, hey, I'm just glad it's happening. I'm just glad it's happening. But yeah, I had the same thought, Mark. What was bothersome about Chad going to LA and immediately having some success? It wasn't just that he was in LA recruiting well for USC. That was also added to the fact that we didn't even have a GM yet, and we felt like we were running in place. That was why I was uncomfortable. It wasn't because he was there landing guys. It's because we felt like we were in quicksand because we were still figuring it out. That's the uncomfortable part for me. And now it feels like you're getting away from that and you're starting to get caught up.
Yeah, it's like we almost need to nominate someone who can decide when we're allowed to get excited about recruiting at this point. Because, like, you look at
when they sign, that's like when I get excited.
Yeah, even the lowest level guy, you know, could have gone to Georgia. So I mean, you know, we all remember what the lowest level recruits were, you know, before. You look at the other offers, and it's almost embarrassing. But to the title of your show and the front half of the schedule, kind of looking at that with the, after the Sunday night game under the light, I kind of noticed, not that we haven't learned our lesson from last year, week 1 to week 2, but there's a bye week between Miami, Florida, and A&M. So I think that I didn't realize that, but and yes, it is called a bye week.
Mark, do you see
But I
the,
think-
do you see the chat that I highlighted on the screen?
No.
It says Mark sounds like me talking to my wife about her day.
Oh, that's great.
That's really great.
Yeah, that and that's one of my favorite. That and when Tom said that I never laugh are a couple of my favorite chats of all
Oh
time.
God, dude, that's so funny. Just like that monotone of like, yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I care. How was your day? Oh, you got hit by a bus? Okay, yeah, whatever. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
That is really, really funny, man. Oh, that's good. God,
That-
Dong, that's one of your better ones. That's a good one.
But the 4-game stretch, outside of those first 2 games, I think are what I'm focused on. The Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, that weird kind of stretch, and Boise State coming off the playoffs.
Yeah.
They almost beat Oregon at Oregon last year. They're always tough. One of those teams you almost don't get enough credit when you beat a Boise State because of like the Mountain West of it. But
yeah.
like that's the game that I've got circled, and NC State's just included because they're prior to USC. But I think like the USC game, I think is interesting because they're coming off of they play Illinois and Michigan before us, so it'll be interesting to see where they're at. But yeah, the first half is everything because the last 5 games, like only Syracuse even seems like remotely interesting.
Hey, that's the way I see it too. You have that interesting start with Miami and A&M with a week in between, and then you're gonna figure out what level or kind of what vibe level we're working off of based on those 2 before we get into the next batch. I don't know, Mark. It's really an interesting front-loaded schedule, and there's a lot of different ways it could go. If Notre Dame's able to make it through that front stretch we're talking about with 0 or even 1 loss, I think they're in really, really good shape. If you have 2, your backs are against the wall, and it's like last year where you really can't lose again. That's how I see it. I don't know, though. What the hell do I know?
Yeah, and then, speaking of schedules, Indiana, after their embarrassing schedule last year, last year they had Florida International, Western Illinois, and Charlotte. And their first 3 games next year are Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. And I think, like, of all the cupcake schedules I've ever seen, they're the most cupcakeiest. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's speaking of cupcakeiest. You find any good baked goods lately? And Little Debbie come out with anything hot off the presses or what?
Yeah, if anyone's interested, Little Debbie dropped a Nutty Buddy cream pie.
Ooh,
I don't know if you remember my calls from
that'd be good.
Ago,
that'd be good for the new linebacker recruit. Anyways, what were you? What? Just hearing you laugh that way is making me laugh more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this show is so stupid. I love it so much.
That was a good one. Yeah, between that and getting roasted in the chat, that was a good one.
Oh, God. Oh, what a dumb show, but I love it. Oh, God. I needed that laugh. What a good way to start the day. Oh, man. What were we talking about?
And, cream pies.
Dude, at 40 years old, shouldn't I be a little past this? Like, shouldn't I just be my general maturity level be a little above where we're operating from? It's just not. It just ain't.
Needed it. And then shout out to the Patreon over there. That's kind of the highlight of the week. Goolsby's the best. The Q&A of it, and the chat, and some of the stuff that I know you got coming out in the next few months over there. It's pretty popping over there.
Yeah, man. It's a good crew and it's building. It's fun, man. We got a good group over there. I love it. And the Monday night thing's picking up steam with its own little regular following. It's great, man. We got some fun stuff planned too for the off season. Stretch our legs a little bit.
Yeah, that's all I got. But yeah, to your title, like the first half of next year's schedule is going to be quite the run, and just a lot of these weird opponents on there that we don't normally see. It's kind of a mixed bag, and it's a lot more interesting than the second half garbage of the Pittsburghs and the Stanfords.
Yeah. Now I will say this though, Mark, if you're in playoff position, every game is a big game. That's the good part about being in playoff position. Like when you get to the back half of that schedule that I think is a yawn fest, if you're in playoff position, every game is a big game and it matters to you and it matters in the national landscape. That's where you want this team to be, in the back half, in the playoff hunt, where every game matters, no matter how lame the opponent. That's a good reason to care about all those games. They all become big if you're in the hunt. So that's where you need to get.
Yeah. Yeah, and I expect this offense to hit the ground running. You know, like TJ Carr's been practicing around this team for almost 2 years now, minus the elbow injury time, but he's been around the operation and he knows what's what. And I just think from the start he's going to be ready to go.
Ooh, baby, it's going to be we'll see. I certainly hope you're right, Mark. I certainly hope you're right. Angela's son asking what that is that I repete. It's a delicious dessert, Angela. It's a delicious dessert. Mark, I think we ruined the show, I think.
Yeah, it went off the rails, but yeah, that's all I got. Everybody have a good weekend. Shout out Little Debbie Cream Pies.
Yep. Mark, God bless you. And I still owe you and Jay Carr an email. I got all these ideas in my mind. I'll send you guys something this weekend.
All right. Later. Bye.
Have a good one. Oh, God, this show's fun. Conundrum. 1 hour in. Still no front half of the Irish season will define 25. In my defense, multiple of the callers have integrated that topic into what they wanted to talk about. But what I've realized is there is no real way to win this, you guys. There's no way to win this. Callers, I'm coming to you. When I do my monologue and I do my my outline, whenever I do that, then people go, "Oh, John, it's a weekday. I'm at work and you're making me be on hold for a half hour, huddling in the office supply closet to talk to you on hold, but you're talking about something else. Why don't you go to the callers?" But when I go to the callers, we go and it goes in its own way. Then I don't get to my notes. And then people say, "Well, what the hell? You didn't even go over the topic you said you were going to go over. What gives?" I can't win. Then sometimes when I do all these calls, I get these emails and it says, "John, it's your live show. We would much rather just see you yell about stuff than you talking to these people. Why don't you do more of, we want more of you and less of the callers," or whatever. But then if I do that, then it's like, well, why do you have a call-in show and you're not taking as many calls or whatever, man? I can't win. You're always going to piss off somebody. Whichever way I do it, it's going to piss somebody off. You wouldn't believe how many people have been like, "We just want you to talk and less of the callers. You're the one that entertains, do the stuff," or whatever. But and then all the callers are mad. Son of a buck. Son of a buck. All right. 330 is back, I think. Let's see. Are we good to go, man?
I'm good to go. I was thinking about Richard Simmons again, and I had a laughing attack. So,
okay, wait.
Hopefully, I don't think about that little Debbie dude this time around.
Dude, wait a second. I feel so much better about this because I didn't know whether you were laughing or crying, and it sounded like a laugh, so then I laughed. But if you were crying, I was going to feel like a jerk because your buddy that loves Notre Dame passed away, and then I didn't want to laugh at that. But it did sound like you were laughing, so I didn't know.
Well, no, I was laughing about Richard Simmons, and yeah, don't feel bad. He was my therapy goldfish, so it's all good.
Oh man! All right. Well, I'm glad that I didn't offend you if you were upset. I'm glad we're on solid footing there. And even though you weren't crying, we're still going to get a candle lit for Barry. We feel free to pick up where you left off, and then 832 will go next. Feel free to take off where you left off.
America's favorite goldfish, Barry. So I appreciate that. All right, so I'll make this brief because I know I've taken up some time here. But you were talking about Notre Dame's schedule, correct?
Correct.
And I don't think we should ever join a conference, financially and of course, because look at all the money we made in the playoffs, and plus we can play more of a national schedule. But if you think about a Big Ten schedule, it would be sort of a national schedule. Take money out of the picture. Just think about a schedule. And I wrote down like a fake schedule if we were in the Big Ten. Can I just read it off real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 non-conference games. You can pick your own, but I said Navy at a neutral field, home against Stanford, and home against Tennessee, like a SEC game. And then for the Big Ten slate, I put home against Purdue, at Nebraska, home against Michigan State, at Oregon, Northwestern at home, Maryland at home, at Penn State, home against Iowa, at USC. So you got Oregon and USC out west. You got your teams in the east with like Penn State and Maryland, or you can put Rutgers or whoever. And then you got, your group of Midwest teams and, Nebraska, Michigan State's a rival, Northwestern's a rival, and things like that. So does that schedule, and then you could, eventually you'll get like Michigan, Ohio State, Illinois, Indiana, UCLA, teams like that. So would a schedule like that year in and year out intrigue you more, or would you rather play the 5 ACC teams every year?
While I would like Notre Dame to maintain its independence as long as it's financially and playoff wise viable, there's no doubt to me at all, 100% Notre Dame's schedule would be more robust week to week, top to bottom in the Big Ten than this half-ass 5-team ACC deal that doesn't move the needle other than like if you play Miami, Florida State, or Clemson. That's pretty much all that moves the needle. So I think the Big Ten schedule would be way more interesting, but at the cost of independence. So that's a tricky thing for me. And if you remember, they're restructuring that ACC deal to make sure Notre Dame plays 2 of Miami, Florida State, and Clemson every year moving forward, to make sure that Notre Dame's hitting the top end of the ACC. And then when you get below that, there's nothing that intrigues me at all. So there's no doubt to me the Big Ten schedule would be more intrigue, more weeks, but you have to give up independence. So that's tough.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of tough for me, but I mean, as long as Florida State and Miami stays relevant, I'm not worried about Clemson, but as long as those 2 teams, like Florida State doesn't have a year like last year consistently, but I think they'll improve. But Yeah, I think we should stay independent, even though a Big Ten schedule would intrigue me more because it's a national conference now. But like you said, I'd rather stick with the independent.
Now I say that I'm not going to say stay independent no matter what forever. It's dependent on you still got to make the money to be able to compete with the big conference, the Big Ten and the SEC. You still need a healthy TV deal. You still need enough money coming in. And then also, you can't say I'm going to be independent forever. Well, what if they like really nail you with the playoff thing and you know what I mean? Like it's got to still be workable for Notre Dame to be able to achieve their goals while being independent. As long as you could do that, I'm with it. But if it starts getting impossible to catch up money-wise for whatever reason, a TV deal, whatever, then you maybe have to make tough decisions. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. You don't want to get back into a corner to the point where making the playoffs would be extremely difficult.
Right.
No matter
That's what I mean. Yeah. Or like a scenario where you're not in a Big Ten TV deal, and no matter what you have with NBC, you're $40 million down every year compared to everybody else, even the bad teams that just get that payout. That's unsustainable. So like, as long as those things don't happen, be independent and go with the lower schedule. I don't love as much as the Big Ten, but so I don't know, man. And then they're talking about doing like, I'm seeing now the idea of like two big things like the AFC, NFC, cutting the country in half and having two different big groups of everybody. I don't know where this is all going. It changes quicker than I change a shirt.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully it doesn't come to that. I mean, I like college football better when you had like, for example, I miss the WAC and the Big East,
Yeah.
I just miss those old traditional conferences, but it's just,
what I miss, man? Can I tell you what I miss a lot? I genuinely mean this. I miss this in my heart. Now that the Pac-12 is no longer, bro, I missed those late night Pac-12 games, watching USC play like at 1 a.m. my time because it was out west. I missed that late window Pac-12 game, that especially when it included USC or somebody important, or like a bigger name. I missed that. That used to be your nightcap, was that 1:30 in the morning college football game Saturday night in the Pac-12. I missed that.
Oh yeah, like if you get like a Washington or an Oregon or somebody, yeah, I missed that. And then if you're like a night owl, you can stay up and watch that game. And then this was one of my most favorite seasons back in I think it was 2006, that Hawaii team with Colt Brennan.
Yeah.
They won unbeaten that year. I stayed up and watched a lot of their games, running that run and shoot with June Jones. That was a fun team to watch that year.
Yeah.
They lost to Georgia, but that was a really fun team to watch. And then, but yeah, it's sad that, the things like that, like you said, have deteriorated, but
yeah, everything changes with the times, right? So I think week to week, the Big Ten schedule will be way more compelling, way more natural rivalries, bring up some history there between Notre Dame and all these schools. I would love the week to week schedule, but at the cost of independence. And that's something Notre Dame and Pete Bavacqua have got a way moving forward in the changing landscape of the sport. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for giving me a call twice today.
No, that pretty much covers it. Thanks for taking both my calls, and you have a good weekend, and keep up the good work. A lot of good callers today, with the exception of me. So.
Oh, no, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. It's good to have this energy in the off season, man. Keep the calls coming. Have a good weekend. Take care.
All right. You too.
Have a good one. 832 is coming up. Now, wait a second. Hold on just a second. Are you telling me I'm about to get a candle lit for a goldfish? Was he joking when he said Barry was a goldfish? Am I going to text my people that work at Notre Dame and have them go light a candle for a goldfish? Am I missing this? Am I missing something? 832, what do you want to do? Maybe if I could hit the button, dummy. Swan Dong. I'm just telling you this. I'll take a picture of the sign in my hometown. I have like a third cousin who's a realtor, a successful realtor. And so his signs are all over. His real name was Barry. His real name is Barry McCracken. I just can't drive by that sign. His name is legit. It's like my third cousin, bro. His name is Barry McCracken. And I just can't handle it. It's like, maybe not now. Check me later. 832, what do you want to do? Welcome to the show.
John, what's going on?
Nothing. Just kind of a silly Friday here. I'm not sure what's going on, but I like the energy in the off season. This is healthy. I dig it. I like the vibe.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, it's been a funny show. Speaking of funny guys, when are we getting Shane Gillis back on the show?
Hey, that's a good question. He pops in every once in a while, like on certain live streams, he'll pop in and comment here and there. And then I would love to do something else with him. So I'm hoping we could set it up. It's good for business. And obviously he's just a fun guy.
Yeah, he's the best. Hey, we were talking about the preseason rankings earlier, and I've always been like mildly annoyed with preseason rankings because they just don't.
You should be. Yeah, I think you should be. I
they
think
don't
that's
seem like they make
justifiable.
any logical. Like, there's no logic behind it. It's all just opinion based and like mainly from, no offense, like media types and stuff like that. And it seems like we're moving more towards like, you know, like the playoff committee and stuff. And I guess I'd like your opinion on this thought. But it's like, what would be like, what would you think about having like the playoff committee do like an end of season ranking after the national championship, and then those are like the locked in rankings going into the next season? Because I kind of feel like the national champions, being Ohio State, should kind of have the benefit of being ranked number one. Yeah, because I do think that there is a benefit to being high ranked.
Yeah, I get it.
So it seems like, you know, at least Ohio State being number one would be like an earned ranking in a sense, even being last season's team. But it would make more sense to me than having Texas be number one just because, you know, Arch Manning's got so much hype.
I get here's what I struggle with. I understand the theory that it makes sense that if you just won the championship, you should start the next year number one until you prove you're not anymore. But I also struggle sometimes with feeling like the rankings line up with everybody and what they did in last year's team. And then it's a whole different team this year, and with different guys on the team, but we're ranking them on what they did the year before with the different team. But I can't think of a better way to do it, but then to reward the teams that were good. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it would look a lot cleaner having, you know, I mean, Ohio State doesn't seem like they're going to be nearly as good this season as they were last season, but I do think that they should have the benefit of being ranked number one, which would have Notre Dame 2, and then Texas, I guess, 3, and Penn State 4. And that looks like a little bit more, it just makes a little bit more logical sense, I think, to me, to have those 4 teams kind of be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Here's what I would want to do. Here's what if you wanted to do this the right way, I'm going to tell you how you would do it. You have no rankings at all until about 6 weeks into this season. And then you look at, instead of going off last year's results and what all these geniuses think all summer, rather than do that, you have no official rankings until there's a body of work for each team in that season. Everybody just plays the best they can, and there's no rankings. And after 5 or 6 weeks, then you look at the actual body of work of those teams in that year against their schedule. And that's when the first ranking comes out. If you really wanted to do this straight up and fair, that's what you would do. But it'll never happen because it all sells. The rankings get clicks. It's an ESPN show. They have the commercials where they want to put number 3 and number 5 by the team's names to promote the commercial. Like, so that's all just the capitalism of all this. But if you really wanted to be fair, you had nobody's ranked anything till everybody's played 5 or 6 games in that year, and we see what we think. That would be the real fair way to do it.
That's a good point, because the bad rankings are the ones that people talk about the most. So it actually pays to put out a not so great top 25.
Now, I do agree with you though. Where it kind of matters is, like you said, if you're already really, really high and then you keep winning, then you're just in a good position. And if you keep winning, you're going to maintain your prime position. I understand that, but there are also times where I've liked Notre Dame being a little lower than I thought, because I really thought they could turn it on. And I know they're just going to keep winning and pass a bunch of people. And if you're rated a little lower, there's a little motivation there. And also maybe not all the pressure and everybody hyping you up. There's an advantage to that creeping up the rankings too. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. What is it? The first week of August, I think the AP poll, the first one comes out. The coaches poll comes first. AP a few days after that, usually in the beginning of August. It'll be interesting.
It will. And then I guess my only other kind of thought was just that quarterback. I'm kind of in the camp of like, I don't really have much of a big preference on Carr and Minchie. I do like Carr, but I think that Minchie gets overlooked quite a bit. And I think that he could be a really, really good starting quarterback for us if he does win the job. And I think that the fan base may be like a little disappointed if CJ doesn't get the start. But I don't know if that's would be the greatest like opinion to have as far as like missing out on Carr's potential. Because I think Kenny can be really really good.
Yeah, I'm open to this either way it goes. I wanted a young guy, and which one? If you sell me that you like Minchie's dual threat stuff a lot and you sell me that, I'm interested. If you sell me Carr's got an advanced football reading IQ level and a gift for this, and he throws it different, and that's a difference, I'm interested in that too. Either way it goes, I'm here for it. I just needed them to go with the young person to just show they're committed to that, and the high ceiling with the little risk I think this program can endure right now, and I'm here for it either way it goes. I want the best guy to win. I'm here for it either way.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I love it, man.
Hey, John, well,
thanks a lot. I really appreciate the call.
I'm gonna get back to work, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Dude, all you guys at work calling me, man. I love it. Get back to work. Don't get fired. Tell them I'm a client. See ya. Today's been goofy, man. We're acting goofy today. Mark with glasses, my IQ isn't the highest, but I have tangibles, not intangibles. He's got tangibles, like his sprinting speed in the parking lot in front of the Frank Leahy statue. Oh, you guys. $10 holler from the WPP. ND will not have a say regarding independence. If the ACC hangs on and ND leverages that for a playoff spot as an independent, or the ACC folds and 2 mega conferences emerge, ND's going to have to join one. It's going to be really interesting to see. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I can't keep up with all the rumors. Notre Dame's going to get forced into the Big Ten, this and that, whatever. They're going to redo the way the playoff access is, and it's going to hurt Notre Dame to force them in. I hear that. Then one more day, and then you hear, it's going to be an AFC, NFC, half the country over here and half the country over here, 2 big mega conferences. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't know who to believe. You got to be some constitutional genius to understand the court hearings about the pay and the making these guys salaried and everything. You gotta be Thomas Jefferson Jr. over here to be able to understand what they're saying in all these court hearings and everything. I ain't that smart. I yell in my basement. So I don't know. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for today. I got a couple things to record. I got something for Patreon. WPP, I think you're going to like it. I'm going to record something for Patreon. WPP will approve, and he will like it. So there's your teaser. And then don't forget, tomorrow, Osborne's supposed to be picking between Notre Dame and Michigan or whatever, and I'll have something. Does anybody know what time that is? Does anybody know? I could look it up. Does anybody know what time that announcement is being made? I want to make sure I'm ready to have something to go for that, because I anticipate good news for Notre Dame on that. So I'll look it up. But this was a fun Friday show, getting a little goofy. Pretty soon we'll get back into the Saturday night lights. We'll get into that. WPP. You're on to something here. All right, you guys. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the donations. I love this crowd. You guys are great, man. There is none of this without you guys. Love you guys. This was a fun show. Have a good weekend. Be good.